And it is one thing, I did when I think I was around 30, I actually got denied for life insurance. And I know you guys were talking about, my healthier now being that I'm probably the best shape now or fitness level now than I was. Well, at 30, I was denied just on the basis of having diabetes. And that was kind of a wake up call too. It was saying, and I know it's just based on numbers and it's nothing personal, but that was one thing. It sort of motivated me back then. I was like, okay, well, I'm going to show them, and they're betting against me, but I'm going to show them that they were wrong in at least my case.
It's more than just your output, more than a bike. When you hear your shout out, you know it's all right. Put on your magic pants and let's go. We're cruising into the power zone. Clip in, set yourself free. Come on and take a ride with me. You know what you need to know and what's it all about. Everything you need, it's on the Clip Out.
Welcome to the Clip Out, episode 174. This is Crystal O'Keefe.
And this is Tom O'Keefe. Hi, it's been a busy day.
Woo! Has it?
So, I don't know where to go. So...
You told me you had a plan.
I know I did have a plan, and the plan was to make it sound like I didn't have a plan, and right now I'm doing really good at it.
You are nailing
I am
not having a plan.
Killing it. So, this is not as easy as I make it look. So, what was it? Last week, we teased the fact that we had been working on a big interview we were very excited about.
Yes.
And I thought maybe this would be a good place to tell them, because we're going to air it next week.
That's true. This would be a good place to tell them that.
So next week, we're going to interview Andrea Barber, a.k.a.
Kimmy
Gibbler from Full House. So it turns out she's a huge Peloton fan. She got one just before COVID kicked into gear.
Yes.
And so she will tell us all about why she got it, how she got it, how much she loves it. She is positively giddy about her Peloton.
She's one of us, guys. She's one of us.
So anyways, we were very excited about that.
Definitely.
And so there's something to look forward to. Andrea Barber from Full House.
Absolutely.
And Fuller House.
Right. Yes.
So, and then this week's interview, Eric Goodman.
Yes. Oh my gosh. He is so funny. Long time coming. I really feel like I should have had this interview like a year and a half ago. He is one of our most steadfast listeners.
He's a difficult get.
He is a difficult guy. He's such a busy guy.
Right.
He's such a busy guy. It's because he has the tread and the bike
and then all
now
the pooping.
Tonal. I mean, he poops every day.
Every day. So, which will make sense when you hear the interview.
Just have to listen.
So, I guess before we get to all that fanciness, what do you have in store for people?
We are going to talk the investor event and the Apple event, because there's a lot.
Dueling events.
Yes. And we're going to cover that with John Mills, because who else would we cover it with?
Sure.
We're also going to have another John on the show.
Okay.
John Prewitt, a.k.a. Kenny, how do you say it? I always say it wrong.
Oh, Kenny Bana?
Kenny Bana.
Okay.
And then we're going to talk about the review from DC Rainmaker about the bike versus the Bike Plus. And then we have a special guest to discuss Robin's baby news. No, it's not Robin, but it is a close second. And then we're going to be talking about my take on the new bike boot camps, because I'm sure all of you are just waiting with bated breath to see what I thought.
Okay, well, before we get to all that, shameless plugs, don't forget we're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeart, wherever you get your podcasts, you can find us. If you can't, let us know and we'll fix it.
Absolutely.
And you can check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/theclipout. While you're there, like the page, join the group, and wherever you're getting your podcast from, also maybe leave a review for us, just so people know that they should give us a shot. So we have a new review.
I want to hear it.
This is from USC Chick or USC Chic. There's no K on the end, so I feel like that could go either way.
Sure, I see that.
They say, love everything about this podcast. I found out about it from my Zero Dark tribe. Now I'm hooked. I love all the variety between the stock market to interviewing members and instructors. Being I'm an OG, I'm sad I just now found out about this, but
oh my gosh,
but ecstatic now that I have. I look forward to it each week, and their leaderboard name is Authority 2. 2 slay, and that's the number 2, and then SLAY, like you're killing people, not like you're Santa.
Well, I'm glad that they're. I want to say I'm glad they're killing people, but I think they're killing it on the bike.
I think that's what they mean.
I think that's what they mean.
So thank you very much for the nice words. We greatly appreciate it. And what else? Oh, you can sign up for our newsletter where you'll get links and all sorts of stuff sent right to your email every week.
I even sent it out this week.
She even sent it out this week. You can sign up for that at theclipout.com. And if you want to see this show instead of just listen to it, that's great too. You can do that at youtube.com/theclipout. While you're there, be sure and subscribe to that channel as well. There's all of that. Let's dig in, shall we?
We shall.
Peloton stock ticker.
So joining us to talk about all the business things in the world of Peloton is John Mills from Run, Lift, Live. Hey, John, how's it going?
How's it going?
Another super crazy week.
Woo!
Yeah.
Were you watching the Apple and the Peloton at the same time?
It's crazy. I was working,
Me too.
watching Apple's event, and watching Peloton's Investor Day all at the same time. All at the same time.
Yes.
I was crazy multitasking.
Me too.
Not that really works, but.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but I got really crabby because I was like, oh, this is too much. This is too much. I did it to myself.
I'm doing the same thing. I'm like, I can't listen to this. Turn that off. Whoa, I gotta listen to that. Turn
Stop
it back on.
yelling at me.
So what should we start with, the Apple stuff or the investor event?
I think we need to dive into Apple. What do you think? What do you guys think?
I think that because I feel like the investor event was almost a reaction to that, even though they happened simultaneously. So
I agree.
I agree. Let's start with Apple.
Okay. So the big thing is, the big drop was Fitness Plus. That was the big thing, which I'm sure that's why Peloton decided to have their event on the exact same day.
First off, can we stop with the pluses?
I know.
Disney Plus, Bike Plus, Apple Fitness Plus,
Tread Plus.
Tread Plus. This week, CBS All Access announced they're changing their name to Paramount Plus.
Oh, man.
It's like, okay, we get it. Find a new thing.
I wasn't thinking of it like industry based. I was thinking Plus. Apple does Plus. Is this a merger thing?
No. I think
Bike Plus, Tread Plus, Apple Plus.
I think it's safe to say this is not a merger thing.
Well, if we had any doubts last week, we know for sure now.
Yes.
This is not a merger.
It's funny, I had run a poll in my group because we were like, well, you could see that Apple announced their event at 3 or 4 p.m. On the 8th. And then literally within 3-4 hours of that, Peloton announces their event. So it looked like it was a reaction. So but I wasn't sure. So we put a poll in there. Is this coincidence? Is this defensive, like as a reaction? Or is there some type of joint thing happening here? Right. And everybody in my group, like 70% of them are like, oh, there's something going on. There's a reaction. This is a collaboration. That's
what I thought. Yeah, I thought that.
A lot of people did. And when we had our Zoom call last week, this came up, and John, you were there, and obviously Tom and I were there. And a big thing was people were like, well, it could be that it's going to be talking about the Apple Watch and how it connects and just kind of demonstrating that. But no, it wasn't. No. It was just, oh yeah, Apple is taking on Peloton head to head. We're going to bring in this digital platform. It's going to be $9.99 a month, making sure to be cheaper than Peloton. We have our own instructors, and we have a huge variety of workouts that you can do.
I think it was fascinating. I think it's fascinating for not only that they're producing digital content, but in that it's directly integrated with the watch. So if you have Fitness Plus, Apple Fitness Plus, and you start a class on your iPad or your iPhone or your Apple TV, it instantly starts the metrics on your watch and starts displaying them on whatever that device is you started it on. So
I have just had so many people reach out to me with reactions, and it's like this range of reactions. I've had people reach out to me and say, this is stupid. Apple is making a giant mistake here because, everybody's going to be on a different kind of equipment. How are those instructors going to be able to call out any kind of information that's meaningful when they don't know what kind of equipment you're on? And that goes from a range from that to, oh my God, Peloton better get their shit together because Apple is coming for them and hard. And it's like this range. People are insane about this.
Right. Yeah. I think that first kind of that issue that you explained, I think is one of the pros and benefits that Peloton just has because of how they've integrated all these various layers of their platform. And I think that's an issue with a lot of the digital vendors. I think Apple just will likely be able to do this better because they just got a larger swath of people that are already using their hardware, right? And then if this is just going to be a part of a package, and you can see it how the way they priced it, right? Like it's $9.99 a month, or we've got these 3 packages, and fitness comes with the highest price one, which is $29.99 a month. And if you just purchase 2 or 3 of those, you're already doing the most expensive package. You might as well go with the most expensive package. So the way they've priced it, it's like people are likely going to have it anyway.
Even if they never use it.
Even if they never use it.
Yeah.
And I mean, considering their user base, if like a quarter of a percent use it, they'll have more subscribers than Peloton.
Yeah, that's
right?
insane.
I get what you're saying. They'll have a lot of accidental, unintended subscribers. And but I just don't get what the big deal is. I feel like this sounds like Apple Music and Spotify all over again.
It is that.
It is.
But also, if they don't have equipment, at some point, I think people are going to want to graduate. Like if they're not fitness minded before, and they get fitness minded, and they're going to want to add equipment, I think the obvious place to go for equipment right now, especially if you're an Apple user, because I think you're predisposed to liking tech, and is to Peloton.
Well,
yeah.
Now that's interesting because I feel like this isn't really for people who are super fit. I feel like this is for people who they like the idea of working out, but they haven't committed to that lifestyle yet. Mm-hmm. So, and I don't think this product will get them to commit. I think this is all of the things that have failed throughout the years because it's not engaging.
It's a digital clothes hanger.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
It absolutely is. But I think the real question comes down to, will they pair with a hardware maker somewhere down the road? Because now that is a whole different story altogether.
Yeah, I think if they brought in their own equipment, I think that'd be different. But until they have their own equipment, I just feel like this is the people that are going to opt for this were probably never thinking about Peloton in any way.
That's where I struggle. That's where I struggle with it. Like I see both sides of this. Yeah. And there's a contention point in my mind with it. So there are folks that are looking at a price point that is below what it would be to get into a Peloton bike currently. And so those are the folks that in today's world go buy a bike by one of the icon brands, a Bowflex or one of those, or they go buy like one of the Nordic Track brands. Nautilus brands. And those bikes tend to be under $1,000, right? And then once they buy those bikes, then they just use their iPad or what have you to then get a smaller, cheaper subscription to do the class on one of these lower cost bikes. I see this as potentially disrupting that, right? Okay. But then on the other hand, my mind goes to, well, I guess the iPhone user, their socioeconomic kind of place. Is that person that's looking for that bike?
Right, because they might be on the higher end, because typically, you can't say it as much anymore because Apple is so ingrained into our society. But when Apple first appeared on the scene, it was absolutely...
It's trendy. It's early adopters. It's people with money. It's especially iPhone. Like, that's why so many Peloton users, especially at the beginning, less so now, but it was like...
They were almost exclusively
Apple owners.
Yeah. So yeah, this is going to be interesting.
Just a little behind the curtains. We can see it in our download metrics. We can tell whether you download from an Apple device or an Android device, and Apple kicks the living shit.
Yeah.
Out of any other device.
It's very clear to me why Peloton has not given a crap about Android users. Because I can see it in our own metrics. So totally.
Well, that would suggest to your point, like, that's not going to be that person that's looking for the Icon Nautilus branded bike. So they're more likely going to buy a Peloton. But I see those folks. I wonder, my mind wonders what they're thinking.
Yeah.
Like, right. Like, what are those folks in that space that also have like a digital platform, because they both do, Nautilus and NordicTrack and Echelon. They all have digital platforms as well. Like, what is that going to do to those?
Echelon's digital platform is on BlackBerry. I don't know if you know that or not, but it's they've partnered with Motorola Razr. So my question then, my hypothetical is, so Peloton was very excited about their Apple Watch integration. Does Apple start to do things to disrupt stuff like that?
Oh, wow. I know. I thought the same. It depends on how deep and their intent is. I'm still not clear. Before that announcement, I thought the Fitness Plus product was going to be kind of just an add-on, throw on the pile of
like an afterthought
services.
Yeah,
afterthought. It looks like it's a little bit more than that.
Yeah.
So I don't know how deep are they really willing to go with this? Yeah, if we start getting into working with hardware vendors, then I would start thinking the same thing.
Yeah. Now I don't know if they have any sort of FTC issues with shutting them out, because I know that they tried to block Spotify from the App Store, and then that became its own thing, and then it was like they charged extra to be in the App Store, so it was like Spotify was like $2 a month more, and then Spotify lowered their prices just to absorb that cost, and so there's been lots of fisticuffs there. So this will be interesting to see how this plays out.
Yes, it will.
Oh yeah, I'm really interested to see how this. I'm really interested to see if this has any impact on Peloton's digital price point.
Now, John Foley kind of talked about that the other day and so we'll switch. This is a great segue to switch over to the Peloton event, because he gave a long meandering answer that was great. And I don't say that to any disrespect. Like, it was just that I kind of like didn't memorize any of it until he got to the point where he was like, yeah, that's cute, but they said they're going to update their classes once a week. And once we bring the new London studio completely online, we're going to be having 50 classes a day for $3 more a month. And I just kind of was like, and there's his mic drop. And he was like, I'm good.
And I think where Apple's going to struggle in this battle is Apple has they're fighting a war on a lot of fronts.
They are. And,
right?
and you know what? They're not going to want their instructors to be superstars the way Peloton does, because Apple is the superstar,
right?
Not anybody that works for them.
Yeah, and so if you're Apple, you're worried about Netflix and Hulu because of Apple TV, and you're worried about Android because of your operating system and because of your devices, and you're worried. You have all these different areas. If you're Apple Music, you're worried about Spotify. You have all these different little range wars that you're fighting, where Peloton's fighting one, right? And so I honestly, like, I don't think Apple's positioned all that well, even though they're super huge and they've got all the money in the world. I just think that the people at Peloton go to work every day with one goal in mind.
Right.
And the people at Apple, even though they have different departments, and I know the people in Apple TV don't have to worry about Apple Fitness, but the higher ups do. And I just think that's where you're going to struggle.
I think that's a good point.
Yeah. And that's where I still kind of wonder. I see this space as one that can fit a lot of folks, and a lot of people can succeed in it. And so that's where I wonder a little, where they're truly trying to be a part of this space and they're trying to grow it, or if they're jumping in as a means to just get a cut of subscription and be able to promote their higher tiered, package.
I kind of think it's that.
I kind of do too. I feel like it's like we don't have to do all that much to scoop up this extra revenue. Like you said, if we get 2% of our users to buy in, it's $1 billion.
Right. And that's kind of where I'm still, my mind's kind of there. I don't know, but it was intriguing watching the intent there. I mean, with any other platform, you don't get that type of metric integration. So that's where I thought, without having, like Peloton has, the hardware, software kind of all working as one. If you're just using a digital platform of any other company, you don't get that type of integration with the metrics, the watch. They even got like a leaderboard based on your burn rate.
Yeah, but I just don't know how accurate it can be when they don't know what machine you're on or how.
Oh, yeah.
All they're basing that on is your heart rate and
Right.
what you type into those metrics.
Right.
And that's still helpful. I just don't think it's as deep as like the metrics we get for Peloton. Like it's just like a little tiny drop in the bucket compared to the metrics that we're getting. But it's still a fair point. It's still something that's cool and unique.
I agree. I think it will have an impact to those other players, but I absolutely agree with that.
And personally, I think Peloton's the cooler brand right now.
Oh, for sure.
Than Apple is. I think there's also some just a peer pressure element because Peloton's kind of reached this tipping point in the pop culture consciousness of like, well, I've already got 4 or 5 friends that have Pelotons that rave about it, and do I want to, it's interesting that you could really look at Apple Fitness and describe it as, do I want to cheap out and go the Apple route, or do I want to spend a little bit more money and go the Peloton route?
Oh,
yeah.
So I do want to spend a little bit of time on the Peloton event because I know that it wasn't as sexy as Apple because we had heard a lot of the information on the earnings call. But I thought it was interesting that they went deeper. And I also thought they were a little more open about some things. Like I loved seeing all of the slides that they showed. In fact, I'm going to bring up some pictures here. And we won't spend a ton of time talking about them, but I just want to show them.
Sure.
Blah, blah,
Yeah, there were some, they said some key things in there that I think are very interesting. Like where in the past and on the earnings call, they talked in generalities, but if you're really kind of watching and listening to what they were saying in that event, there were some interesting points.
Yeah, this one struck me as fascinating off the top of my head, just because, like, look at how the household income has shifted since 2014. Right. I mean, that is phenomenal. I mean, just absolutely, like, my like math brain is like, whoa, that's really cool to look at.
I have no idea how to read this.
Okay, so 2014 is on the bottom, and it shows that like 40% were making like 200,000 plus. Okay. So now go to 2020 and only 20,000. I mean, excuse me, only 20% are 200,000
okay. So when John Foley talks about the democratization of fitness,
they're making it happen in real time.
They are making strides towards that. I mean, serious strides towards
that. And I think it's interesting that along the top they have the population because that's clearly their goal. They're trying to be mirroring that. And then I thought this one was interesting because it talks about how their TAM has increased over time. And honestly, John, this one's a little bit over my head as far as like how to explain it.
So this one was really interesting for me.
What's a TAM?
Yeah, so that's your total addressable market. So that would be like across the world, the number of folks that fall within whatever your metrics are for the demographic you're looking.
So potential consumers.
Potentially buy your bike.
Yes.
But they may not be interested in buying it. You have never marketed to them. You might not even be in their geography with your product.
Right.
The TAM. So that's high.
Right.
Okay. But it kind of boils in this thing further and further down as you further qualify it down to your serviceable addressable market. So now that's people that are in your geographies where you're at, and they've expressed an interest, and you're right. You're now you're into a true core of people that could if you advertised well enough, could potentially buy your product. Okay. And that's that lowest line where you're at 15 million.
Yeah. So you can see my cursor moving around there.
Yes.
So basically, the way I heard her explain this is that number has increased significantly, and that SAM has gone up a 43% growth over 2019. Right. Like that's insane.
Oh yeah, that's some good stuff. And then that bottom section with the red box kind of indicates where I've identified that over the years where not only are these customers buying the product once, many of them are buying the same product twice, right? Right. And so now they've got 2 subscriptions out of a household. So now they're going, if we factor that into everything, it's not really even 15 million. It's more like 20 million.
Right. Yeah. Wow. And you're about to see that go up, right? Because all these people that are getting rid of the bike to get the Bike Plus. So.
Exactly.
Right.
And then there was some interesting thoughts about their infrastructure. I mean, people have talked about all the things that have happened with like XPO. I mean, that's just been, I don't need to go into that. Everybody knows XPO. It's like a horrible, bad word. But this is showing that they're creating infrastructure. So they're hoping to have 7 distribution centers in fiscal year 21. That's huge. And they said that they will be able to service 95% of their people within 24 to 48 hours.
Wow.
When this is done. That's insane. That's absolutely insane.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Sorry, John, did you have anything to add on that one? I didn't mean to.
No. I think you're going to some of the things I was going to align to it. I see them coming up in the slides. So no.
This one was just kind of cool to look at because it's some of the things that they've built to test things. So I don't have a lot to add to it. So if there's anything you wanted to add, this was just cool to look at.
Well, no, it talked about they have 3 quality centers that they've built out in Taiwan. They're building out in Taiwan. I think one is coming. And in those quality centers, they also do R&D. And so I thought that was fascinating that they're not only building out these centers for producing the product, but for how they quality assure those products as well. So I think that was some of those images of those centers.
And we should say, if you want to see these images, I know we're a podcast, we're doing our best to keep it talky, but if you want to see them, swing on by our YouTube channel, youtube.com/theclipout.
Thanks for that reminder, Tom. They have a new center that's coming on, I believe is Shenzhen. Is that how you say that? And it's 3 floors, and this is one of their centers that's going to be quality development and office space. And it's a beautiful center if you didn't get a chance to see it. Okay, Shenzhen. That's Shinji. That's how you say it. And then there's a picture here of their three quality labs. Let's see. And then I thought this was just kind of cool. This is the Shinji new factory that's opening in December of 2020. Also fascinating, 1.5 million unit capability.
Wow.
In a year.
I also think it's fascinating. I know that the listeners can't necessarily see this, but the pictures of these buildings, like, these don't look like factories.
This was dirt a year ago, he said.
Like these buildings are beautiful.
They
and
are.
They're not
not what you think of when you think factory.
Yeah, when I think factory, I think something, it's very much, function over form, and I think square boxes and very industrial. Right. And these have a lot of unique architectural aspects to the aesthetically pleasing aspects to them that you would not expect from something industrial.
Right. On that one topic I found really interesting is so that's the new Magnetonic Factory, which is the company that Peloton owns. And that's the factory they're saying they're opening in December, which will be able to produce 1.5 million units. And they also have a partner in Rexon that they use. But what I found real interesting that William Lynch said on the call, he also said, he hinted towards they were going to be working with a third.
Uh-huh.
And so I found that interesting as well. Like, they're building this out to where they won't, they'll be able to provide and produce, towards their future.
It's fascinating.
I know that we need to wrap up just to move forward, but I thought this was really a cool slide. And again, I know that you guys on that are just listening can't see it, but this slide talks about how their strides with music, like what the numbers are for the existing collaborations they've done this year. And I was absolutely shocked to see these numbers on a slide next to each other. I mean, Whitney Houston, 445,000 workouts to date. And Grateful Dead, 40,000. Britney Spears, 770,000. I'm not going to read them all, but get this, guys. Prince, which they knew was a huge one, 715,000 workouts. And they just did that.
Yeah.
These are all just since July.
And they spoke about doing a lot more artist series this fall. And they talked about artists and managers trying to hit them up to do these series. And they also talked about how they've got the largest catalog. I don't understand how this part works, but they talked about how they have the largest catalog of music in the connected fitness industry, as if like the other competitors have to go through a similar process, but they don't have approval to play the same
I think they're not willing to spend the money to get the same catalog, right? So I think that that's what you're seeing is and I know people are saying with Apple Fitness, Apple has access to all this music. Well, I mean, if you want to listen to your own Apple Music while you work out, you can absolutely do that. But in terms of, I'm pretty sure if they wanted to incorporate it in some sort of connected fitness thing, that's a totally different music license.
Yeah, because all of the rest of the connected fitness, what they're doing is doing radio stations. That's what almost everybody else is doing. Yeah. So they are correct, and it will be fascinating. I think that was okay.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I also heard William Lynch say that they're fast becoming one of Peloton, making their mark as one of the most important players in the music industry.
And I've been saying that for years.
Yes,
I mean,
Tom called that.
Since almost our first episode,
totally.
I was like, why aren't record labels working Peloton the same way they work radio stations?
Well, they are now.
Yeah.
And Peloton officially said that. So that is crazy.
Yeah.
So any other big things that we missed, John?
The things that where John Foley was talking about, other categories coming. I think you guys kind of heard that. When I can't remember his name, Tom Cortese,
yes,
the COO, when he talked about those 6 dampers that are underneath the tread platform of the new tread. Like, so there's like some type of shock absorber.
Oh yeah. Totally.
Like, I found that interesting. Like, I didn't know how that worked. I knew they said it was going to be more comfortable, but
and it'll be interesting to see what it's like, in use. That it's like I'm super curious about that. That's going to be fascinating to test it out.
And I guess another thing is where they said that new instructors, and William Lynch talked about strength, yoga, and meditation.
Yes. And for anybody wondering on those lines, strength is by far their most popular growth. And meditation is right behind it. They also mentioned that they are looking at the body, the fitness as the whole body. So I think that was another veiled hint toward the possible nutrition that might be coming. And for anybody saying they don't have enough tread classes, I just got to say, nobody's taking the run classes comparatively. So if you guys want them to have more run classes, y'all need to run and keep it up.
That's a good point, because they made a point in the call to talk about, and I think that was also William Lynch who said they're sitting on top of a mountain of programming information, like as if there's this huge value to the analytics they're getting out of what people want to do, when they want to do it. And then he talked about how that factoring into their content. So, I mean, I think we kind of knew that.
Yeah, but it's
that data is super important, because if you think about it, there's never been a way in the past to actually know what workouts people are doing. Like, you've been able to have people say what workouts they want to do or what workouts they want you to think that they do, but Peloton actually knows what you're doing, how much time you're spending on it, how hard you're doing it, how not hard you're doing it. You know what I mean? Like they have workout metrics that in the history of mankind we've never been able to calculate before.
Right. And he spoke to it like those metrics, that data is value. Like, and I took that from
that data long term, I think, will be superbly important or supremely important, because at some point you can marry that kind of data to other health criteria to start trying to figure out, if you did this kind of workout, do those people have fewer heart attacks? Do they have less cancer?
Well, I think that's where they're headed with this Health and Wellness Council. I think that's what we're seeing. You're seeing them head to this holistic view of how can we use this to better people's health and lifestyle. So Tom, I think you are dead on. The other interesting thing is we didn't cover with the Apple part of it, just to bring it full circle, is now Apple is going to have that same data, and they're going to have it across more verticals because they have rowing workouts, they have bike workout, they have everything.
Yeah.
So that's going to be interesting as well.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us again. Before you go, where can people find you?
They can find me on Facebook at my Run, Lift, and Live page or Run, Lift, and Live group. They can find me on Instagram at Run, Lift, and Live or on my webpage at runliftandlive.com.
As always, thank you so much,
Yes,
Don.
thank you.
This has been awesome.
Always good seeing you guys.
Likewise.
Say hi to that grandbaby and Erica, of course.
I will.
In that order.
Talk to you guys later. In that order. Talk to you guys later.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.
New content.
So joining us today via the magic of ZoomTube is past guest John Prewitt. And hello. He is already in possession of a Bike Plus.
Yes.
And he's going to give us his thoughts and a little guided tour.
Yeah. Good to see you guys.
Good
Likewise.
to see you too. From what I understand, you were like number one to get this bike.
One of the first, it seems. Yeah, we got it on Saturday and just kind of got lucky. I had another bike that I had gotten at the beginning of quarantine. We got a second bike and almost immediately we were having issues with it, but then we were stuck. I was stuck with it because I couldn't return it. They couldn't swap it. So I got lucky because they honored the 30-day, refund policy after they took the old one. So it lucked out with that, getting it that quick.
Awesome.
So I've ridden it a few times now. My wife, Jackie, has ridden it a few times. And so just little things that I've noticed, just like good to know, FYI. So the bike, let me try to flip around here. So the back of the tablet, so we hardwire our bikes just for a more stable connection so you don't get that spinning wheel all the time.
Sure.
Totally.
So I was scrambling looking for the Ethernet port on the new monitor and I couldn't figure out where it was. And I thought maybe it's just you can only connect Wi-Fi, but there's a USB-C connection right here in the back. It's the third from the bottom. You need a USB-C Ethernet adapter, which I got $17 Amazon Prime. But that's how if you want to run it through Ethernet, which I recommend if you have that ability, just a stronger connection.
Ooh, love it.
The speed, the Ethernet, whatever they did with their Ethernet Wi-Fi card, it can handle much faster speeds now. So when I go in and do like a speed test, it's blazing. And on the other bike, it might go up to say 100 megabytes per second. It'll just like max out. But this,
wow.
And this is with Comcast Xfinity, gigapower service. But I mean, it's just like the other bike speed test, it'll go to like 100 here.
Wow,
so it's just
look
kind of cool.
that.
So
what did it get up to?
600.
Okay, just for people listening.
Yeah,
I'm glad on the old bike. So hopefully that translates to less connectivity issues for folks, especially with a lot of people on Wi-Fi. The resistance knob. So the resistance knob now, it just spins freely. So with that electronic, the digital sensor down here, when you turn it, you kind of hear, or you might feel sort of like a slight vibration in the frame. And that's just the sensor now doing its thing. There's kind of like a little extra piece here, I guess that's part of the hardware. But when I say it spins freely, there's no more like turning it all the way to the left and then it stops at, the minimum resistance, or turning it all. It'll just keep spinning and spinning.
So like a newer car stereo's radio or a volume knob.
There you go.
Yeah.
Do you still press on it to stop it if you want?
Yep. So it still has the normal like push down to brake.
Okay.
Yep. That's still the same. The calibration process, I'm not gonna actually like pull up the screen, because then I have to like either have to do the calibration or like turn off the tablet and restart it. But basically so when they, set the bike down, plugged it in, the first thing it did was it gave you this calibration screen which is maybe 30 seconds. And it just, you hear the resistance sensor at the bottom here doing its thing. Let me flip back around. You see like the resistance sort of move up and down as it's checking the calibration, but it's super simple, straightforward process. If you ever need to like do it yourself, you just go into the settings here in the upper right-hand corner. The settings menu is a little different, and then you hit home installation, and then it'll just give you a calibration screen to start calibration. It's very like straightforward process.
I love that. That's so easy for people to use. That's so much better than like you have to like have a calibration kit and tools and
yeah, and put that thing on the knob and then do the 30 turns a quarter. Yeah. So very straightforward, user friendly.
Awesome.
So for right now, the workout, I've noticed the rides and floor content I've done on the new Bike Plus that my wife has done. If you look at your workout history in the Peloton app, for some reason, it labels those workouts as being on the app, even though it shows your metrics. It's just probably a weird thing Peloton hasn't added, like it's not, the bike's fully not in the system or something. I don't know, but nothing to be worried about. All the stats are still in there if you click on the individual workouts. There is I'll flip back so you can see the bike again. Now with the camera up here, there's a little slide. So if you are a private person, you're worried about someone spying, you can just slide it over. That covers the lens.
I love that that's built in.
Yeah, me too. I love that it's a little physical toggle, because I know so many people get really worried about if they can somehow watch you. Mm-hmm. And so that's unhackable, right? Like it's just you slide the knob and you're good.
Right.
Yeah. And I would say if someone wants to, I just leave mine open. So if someone wants to spy on me, I say, enjoy the show. Anyways, so down at the bottom, like small detail, but I just like noticed these little things. So the feet, the front and back, there's no more middle stabilizer foot the way there used to be on the previous bike. So you just have the two outer stabilizer feet, which I think is better anyway, because I think using the middle one makes it a little more wobbly, in my opinion.
Okay. That's great.
The handlebar design, obviously, this middle part, it's a little bit wider and it doesn't point up as much. Mm-hmm. Just like a subtle difference. I just noticed when I'm, like stretching, I put my leg up there. I just have to like move it over a little higher up in the corner there. Apple Watch. So I don't have an Apple Watch, but my wife does. And there's this little sort of, when you enter a class, whether it's on demand or it's live, you'll get this little Apple Watch pop up, like drop down right here. If you don't have an Apple Watch, it'll go away automatically. Don't worry. Don't freak out like I did, tapping vigorously, trying to get it to go away because I thought it was going to be stuck there the entire ride. It eventually just goes away when the ride begins.
Has she had any trouble?
There's no set. I did check to see if there was like a setting to turn that off to look for it, but there isn't. So just a general FYI. So that's pretty much it. One last parting thought. It's definitely harder than our previous bike, than our current bike that we still have here and the one that it replaced. So I had to work on Saturday, that Alex Pop ride that I did. I was like working a lot harder just to get somewhere near where I usually am on the leaderboard. So that'll be an adjustment.
Wow.
And
it'll be very smooth.
It'll be interesting to see over time. Like your experience is that it's harder. I wonder if some people will have the opposite experience because it was kind of apples to oranges previously.
Yeah. I think definitely this will most certainly level the playing field, which I know a lot of people have, been clamoring for a while.
Totally.
But,
well, thank you.
Super sturdy, smooth. Love it so far.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for giving us a little tour of it. We greatly appreciate that.
Yes.
And
absolutely, guys.
Where can people find you if you would like to be found?
They can find me on Insta, just John Prewitt. That's my public Instagram page. Or Facebook.
What's your leaderboard name?
Leaderboard name is Kenny Bania, Kenny _ Bania, BANIA.
The High Five King.
There you go.
Thank you very much.
All right, y'all. Good to see you.
It was good to see you too. Bye.
Bye.
So joining us today via Zoom Tube is Ariel Levin. You might remember her from, I forget the episode number, but
yeah, I should have looked that up.
a long time ago. She was a guest. She talked about horses.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
And so you are super involved with Robin's tribe.
And that's Sweat with Swagger, for anybody out there who doesn't know. I don't know how they couldn't.
Yeah. Well, we're the Sweat with Swagger crew now, because we have to change it from tribe.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
That's right. Sorry.
Yes.
Hope I didn't get myself in trouble.
It's all good. I am an admin for the Sweat with Swagger crew, along with Mel and a few other awesome ladies.
Awesome. Well, obviously, Robin had a big announcement last week, and we thought you would want to talk to us about it a little bit.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about her journey and the announcement.
Yeah, for sure. So I think when she initially announced that she was, going through freezing her eggs, we were all just super supportive of her.
Sure.
I think anyone in her position, to make such a huge decision like that, it's the smartest thing to do. Like she's the face of the biggest fitness company in the world right now. So, that a baby can disrupt your entire life. So, we were all just super supportive of her. I'm really happy to hear now that her journey was successful and that she's expecting a baby, and her and Drew are going to be the best parents ever.
Were you on the ride when she announced it?
I was, and something crazy. I was like, Robin's birthday is coming up this Sunday, September 20th, and my brother had walked in the room like maybe 2 minutes into the ride, and I was like, you know what? Robin's like turning 40 soon, which is going to be next year. She's probably going to have a baby sometime within the next year or two. And then like 15 minutes later into the ride, she announces it, and I broke down. I don't know why. Like, I'm 22. I don't want a baby like right now, possibly ever. But something about just following her journey, and like she means so much to all of us, it really just made me emotional. Like, I'm so happy for her. I know, if you follow Robin and if you have been following her for a while, that she wants a kid. Like, she's always wanted a kid. She talks about feeding it Hustle for breakfast and like carrying on the legacy of her family. And again, if you took that ride, like, her a little bit about her mom's story and their journey. And it's just awesome to see that they're going to be able to continue that legacy.
It absolutely is. Oh gosh, that's so exciting. I'm glad you were able to be on the ride. I mean, you're so involved with the crew, with Robin. It's great for all of her fans that were there. And I know you were not the only one to get emotional. I got a lot of messages that a lot of people were emotional.
The Sweat with Swagger crew page was going crazy. Like, everyone was just internally combusting for her.
So do you know if there's been any talk or any feedback about like how deep into her pregnancy she plans on teaching?
I'm not sure about that. I did watch her Instagram stories yesterday, and I know she said like she is certified, and I'm not sure of like the exact certification name, but she has the certification that enables her to teach pregnant women and postpartum women. So she has like some sort of certification. And I just know, like, we all know Peloton is so amazing about that, and they're going to do everything by the books. Like, knowing Robin, she would probably work out until the day before she gives birth. But I'm sure she is going to, play it safe, follow it by the books, and do everything to the best of her abilities while kicking our asses in the meantime.
Now, do we know how far along in her pregnancy she is?
I don't think she mentioned an exact date, but she did say she's in the second trimester. So again, I haven't had a baby. I don't know what that means in terms of weeks, but yeah.
That means she's probably past 12 weeks. So, it doesn't mean that it could mean she's 13 weeks. It could mean any place after that. But that's typically the time period that people will announce their pregnancy, because that's like the most crucial time period of a pregnancy, is that first 12 weeks. So
that's awesome. Yeah, I'm just so excited for her. And I don't know if you've met her husband, Drew, but he is awesome too. And they are going to be some badass parents, and that baby is going to be one cute baby.
It's just going to come running out of the womb.
It's going to be ready for some Tabata the next day.
If the kid ever wants to rebel, he or she can take after me. That's what rebellion will look like in that household.
Imagine it not wanting anything to do with fitness.
Right.
It would be funny.
Awesome. Well, before we let you go, just remind everybody about your group and where they can find it and all that stuff.
Okay, so we are the Sweat with Swagger crew on Facebook, and I think we have like 13,000 members there.
Nice.
So we all love Robin. We do group rides. We share her iconic motivational quotes, and it's just basically a Robin love fest over there. We all love her. We're so inspired by her, and we're really excited to see how she's going to progress through this pregnancy journey. And I'm excited to see how her body changes and how she is able to continue working out and pushing us while she's pregnant. I think it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, and just in time for Bike Plus, Peloton unveils Instructor Plus.
That's awesome. They should trademark that.
I think Peloton might sue me.
Yeah, probably.
So. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to talk to us. We really appreciate it.
It was great to see you again, Ariel. And
you too.
Thank you.
I'm like dripping sweat out here. It's like 100 degrees in South Florida. So.
Go inside in the air conditioning.
Pet a horse for us.
Go back in.
Bye.
Cool. See you later.
Have a good one.
You too.
Getting the psychological edge with Dr. Jenn.
So joining us today, Dr. Jenn Mann, licensed marriage, family, and child therapist and sports psychology consultant. You may know her from VH1's Couple Therapy with Dr. Jenn or VH1's Family Therapy with Dr. Jenn. She's got a long-running radio show, The Dr. Jenn Show. She's written 4 best-selling books, including The Relationship Fix, Dr. Jenn's 6-step guide to improving communication, connection, and intimacy. Ladies and gentlemen, and all points in between, Dr. Jenn. Hi.
Hello. Well, thank you for having me on the show.
Oh.
Well, thank you.
Yes, thank you. So you were making an Instagram post recently.
I was.
And you got to thinking, this could be a Dr. Jenn thing.
I did, yeah. It's funny. I went down a rabbit hole because I started thinking about it, and then it got way deeper than I think it was meant to be. So here's the quote. Remember, most of your stress comes from the way you respond, not the way life is. Adjust your attitude. Change how you see things. Look for the good in all situations. Take the lesson and find new opportunities to grow. Let all the extra stress, worrying, and overthinking go. And my first thought was, yes, I need to let go. I need to just accept. And my second thought was, well, isn't that really just giving up? And wait, where's the line? How do you know what's giving up versus accepting what is happening?
And these are a great series of questions. And the first thing that comes to my mind is there was a psychiatrist named Viktor Frankel who wrote a book called Man's Search for Meaning. That's an amazing book. And Viktor Frankel was a Jew who was in the concentration camps during the Holocaust. And what happened was when he got out, he managed to survive. And as a psychiatrist, he really was fascinated by he felt that there were 2 groups of people who survived the camps, and that he looked at one group that really deteriorated afterwards and did not function well versus the groups of people who managed to survive it and then go on to live good lives and who were able to overcome. And what he found was that the difference between the two groups was that the ones that were able to overcome, that their belief system was, I cannot control that, well, they're in this concentration camp. I cannot control what the guard does. I cannot control that I'm in a concentration camp, but what I can control is how I respond to it. So it really was a game changer in their psychological state, that they were able to survive the most horrific of conditions and were able to shift their thinking in a way that allowed them to later go on and not only survive, but ultimately thrive. And I think that that's really such a great life lesson, that we go through all these things. Right now, we're in a pandemic. A lot of people are losing their jobs. A lot of families are suffering. A lot of people are really struggling with depression and anxiety. And one of the things that we can do is to say, okay, I accept these circumstances. We don't really have much of a choice with a lot of them. I accept that this is what is right now. I may not like it, but I accept that this is what is. And now my job is to figure out, how do I cope with that? And how do I say, okay, you know what? I'm going to go into this with the best possible attitude that I can have, that I cannot control what's happening, but I can control my internal experience. And when I struggle with that, I will try to utilize tools, whether it's therapy, whether it's talking to a friend or meditating. And, you know, obviously on Peloton, there are tons of great meditations about changing your mindset. And, you know, there's one I did a couple of weeks ago that was about like emotions and kind of regulating your emotions. So we have a lot of tools at our disposal, fortunately, even though these are very difficult, tricky times.
So I'm just interested to hear your thoughts on, for the people that were in the concentration camp, both groups in this sample set, for lack of a better term, make it out.
Yes.
Why is it the ones with the better attitude do better when they're out? I would think that both groups would be like, hooray, we ran the gauntlet and made it through the other side. So why did, if they both kind of ended up in the same place, which is living through this awful thing, why does the worse attitude, for lack of a better phrase, end up just kind of not reassimilating as well?
Well, you ask a great question. I think a lot of it has to do with how we deal with trauma, because obviously there's nothing more traumatic that I personally could think of than surviving a concentration camp, because you watch.
Yeah, that's right up there. Yeah,
you've probably been physically and emotionally abused to the extreme. You've witnessed people that you have formed attachments to be harmed, be killed. So a lot of it is how we process trauma. And there's some people who have more vulnerabilities because of historic trauma, or because of their psychological makeup, or because maybe they haven't been exposed to therapy or tools that might help them to shift into a better mindset. So to me, that's probably the difference. I think there are a lot of factors, but I think that those are probably some of the most significant ones between the two groups, where some just became so debilitated by their depression or anxiety or PTSD, which is 100% understandable. There's nothing worse than you can witness or experience. But this other group is quite fascinating. And in the book, Man's Search for Meaning, Viktor Frankl divides the book into two halves. The first half was talking about his experiences in the camps. And then the second half was all about kind of this concept of this mindset that one needs to have to survive life effectively and to thrive.
That's fascinating. I was also thinking, when you were, listing the awful things that can happen to you there, I would also, I can't even imagine, like, beyond the things that you would witness, just the constant fear of, you never know when it's going to happen. You know what I mean? Like, you just
100%. Yeah. The level of stress, of anticipation of trauma is enormous. And, I think that when you are in an experience like that, whether it's a concentration camp or surviving a war, or, like Tunde has talked a lot about losing family members under the most difficult of circumstances, that when you live under circumstances where you could be killed at any moment, your family members could be killed at any moment, the stress of that, it releases cortisol, it releases all kinds of stuff in your body that makes it also more difficult to kind of handle the stress, because our body releases all of this stuff. It's like fight or flight, and it's harder to be in our logical minds when our minds are going to that primitive survival state.
Okay, so if I'm hearing you correctly, it's not about accepting every circumstance you're in. It's about paying attention to those things that you cannot change and not fighting against them once you've identified them.
Yeah, look, I'm a big fan of the Serenity Prayer. And if you know the Serenity Prayer from AA, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And I have like a little stone by my bed with that engraved on it. I have a sign in my office. I give them to my children. Like, to me, it's, as someone who's a bit of a control freak naturally, that to me, it's been a very important concept to assimilate. Okay, I can't control everything, but what I can control is my level of acceptance, and while also working to change the things that I can change and really recognizing what I can't change.
Awesome.
Great advice, as always.
Absolutely. So until next time, where can people find you?
People can find me on my social media at Dr. Jenn Mann, 2 N's on Jen, 2 N's on Mann, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, the works.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
So you did your first boot camp.
I did my first bike boot camp today.
Bike boot camp.
Yes.
My apologies.
Because I've done the tread boot camps. Thank you.
Of course you have.
And you know what? It was great. I wasn't sure what to expect because I don't have the brand new Bike Plus yet. It is on its way.
Right.
And I loved it though. Jess Sims is just as amazing on the bike as she is on the tread. What a delightful coach that she is. And funny enough, I actually did my floor portion on my tread. I did a body weight workout, so it was pretty easy to do. It was like I was doing dead bugs and push-ups and lunges. So a lot of it I did on the tread, and then some of it I did right in front of the tread because it's sitting right next to it.
Okay.
Once I get my new bike, I'll just flip the screen around. But it was really easy to do. You can hear everything that's going on.
Right.
The shoe transitions were very simple. You just slide your shoes off. You can do the workouts barefoot if you want, or with socks on.
Right.
You don't have to put a new pair of tennis shoes on, but they give you time to do it. Plenty of time. So if, for anybody out there who doesn't have a Bike Plus and you're not sure if you should try it, this is great, especially the body weight ones. Everybody needs strength in their life. This is a great way to do it. It's integrated. And I love how smoothly it felt, how smooth the transitions were. And I really loved how the exercises on the floor, the body weight, it worked with the exercises on the bike, in that we do a lot of forward movement when it's on the bike, and they did a lot of lateral movement on the floor. So those two different planes of motion, they complement each other very well, because when you move, you're moving forward, but we tend to need to move laterally as well. You might need to pick up a laundry basket. You might go across
totally.
And we don't exercise in that way as much as we should. So the exercises complement that very well.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, people probably do a lot of back damage with stuff
exactly,
like that.
Because when you're constantly on the bike and you're always in that forward motion,
you're
putting a lot of stress on your low back.
Or when you're not using the lateral stuff, you go to reach for something thinking it's super easy, and you're like, oh,
yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
It was great.
Peloton in the news.
So Yahoo Finance had an interesting article about John Foley and his big 15-year goal.
Yes. He calls it a BHAG. For those of you in business, you are probably familiar with that. A big, hairy, audacious goal. And their BHAG is to have 100 million users in 15 years. And I think it's possible. I think it's very possible.
That's like what? That's like a quarter of the country.
It is. But if you look at the growth, now, they didn't say it was going to be America. And they have growth plans to go into all, I don't know how many countries, but they are definitely talking more global expansion. So I definitely think it's possible.
No, that's a very fair point. In my head, I was just thinking America because that's how Americans are. And but yeah, when you expand that globally, I think that sounds a lot more achievable. Yeah.
And 15 years is not a small piece of time.
Absolutely.
I did want to mention that new calibration dropped this week. So you have the ability, because of Bike Plus, you can now reset your PRs. And so there was a little write-up I did on the clipout.com, so you can go over there and see it. But it's great and super, super easy to do if you haven't figured it out. I did a little video for you. But being able to set your PRs is important because prior to the Bike Plus, any bike that you took a class on could be different.
Sure.
And so like whenever I did my 400th ride in Chicago, I blew my PR out of the water. But I didn't want to delete the class because it was my 400th ride.
Right.
So I've never been able to get that back. Now I'll be able to reset it without deleting that class. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, very cool. Glad they finally did it.
And that's a good thing to point out because I know a lot of people were confused about why that mattered.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Pivoting real quick to the world of Tonal, they introduced a leaderboard this week.
It has been a big week.
Yeah.
They introduced a leaderboard. And so it measures the best metric for Tonal that you could possibly measure, which is how much time you spent on the Tonal. It doesn't matter how many pounds you've lifted,
right,
or what your strength score is. It's how much time. And so I think the last time I looked, there were like 1,600 people that had registered their leaderboard names, and I am solidly in the middle. Started off toward the top half, and I'm falling quickly, but that's okay.
You should have screenshotted that when you had the chance.
I should have. It's really cool, though. And so if you haven't done it yet, this is the great time because you can go over and register your leaderboard name. Everybody's getting their OGs from the Peloton world.
Yeah.
I love it. I found everybody has their same leaderboard name as over on Peloton, so it's like taking all of my worlds and bringing them together in a happy place.
That's awesome. And it's a great way for strength training, right?
It is. Yeah. It is. I love that recognition that like I've already worked out strength training wise 8 hours this month. And so we're halfway through the month. That's a lot of strength time. And I love that I can get that feedback because over on Peloton, since I've been doing Tonal, I don't get to see a marriage of both workouts in one place. So I can't make the dots like everybody else does unless I do a Peloton class and a Tonal class every day. So being able to see, hey, you've worked out 8 hours this month already.
Yeah.
That's pretty dang awesome.
That is awesome. And Tonal, it's the smart at-home gym that replaces every machine in the weight room and has personal training programs built right in. It looks like a TV on your wall, and it can do up to 200 pounds of resistance. You can try Tonal 30 days risk-free. Visit www.tonal.com for $100 off smart accessories when you use promo code TheClipout at checkout. That's www.tonal.com, promo code TheClipout.
Tonal, be your strongest.
So I love going to the Hallmark store. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but I love going to the Hallmark store to look for all the weird cards they have. Like if you go to like one of the big Hallmark stores, they have like, weird is maybe harsh, but like they just have
things that you wouldn't normally think
of. You go to Walgreens, you get like birthday, anniversary, graduations, and
like your standard
season, right. But if you go to like the big Hallmark store, it'll be like, congratulations on your Congressional Medal of Honor, right?
Yeah.
They've got really just like what?
Niche.
Right.
Niche.
And so so that raises the question, do they make a card that says congratulations on becoming a billionaire?
I think that's too niche.
You think that's too niche?
I do.
Okay.
But I kind of want to send one to John Foley. How amazing is that he is officially a billionaire, not a millionaire, a billionaire. It's out of I can't wrap my head around that. And also he became that, and I don't know if it got taken away in the same day because the markets dropped.
I was wondering that too, because like he kind of ticked over into that, and then stocks fluctuate, and so like, did he like, oh, and now I'm not.
Yeah, I don't know. But even if he isn't, for one brief shining moment, he was.
He was a billionaire longer than I'll ever be a billionaire.
Damn right. Same here.
And that's also going to be a difficult thing for that's a hard thing to like be vocally excited about.
Yeah.
People are like,
especially right now.
You don't get to, it's douchey to like go around high-fiving people because you became a billionaire. You don't get to celebrate that because you get to celebrate it by having $1 billion.
Absolutely. And you know what? He would be the first one to say it's not even an appropriate time to celebrate that.
True.
And so I know that he will not publicly celebrate it. But we will celebrate you, John.
We will acknowledge it.
We are happy for you. Congratulations.
So we know that Peloton is going to be having refurbished bikes for sale.
Yep.
But now there's talk of like, will you be able to rent them?
Yeah, this came up in one of his interviews this week. Like, what about maybe being able to rent it? And he did not say like, oh, there's this official thing we're working on.
Sure.
But he sure was very open to the idea and like, oh yeah, we've talked about it. Whatever it takes to get more bikes in the hands of more people, we're gonna do. Well, people might only want a bike for 2 or 3 months at a time.
Yeah. Well, hasn't he mentioned in the past the idea of like you just pay a monthly fee and then you get the bike, and then whenever there's a new bike, you just get another one. He has.
And I think we're definitely headed in that direction. I think you're seeing the very first iteration of that with this buyback program that they're doing. But yes, this would be even different. This would be like, you could use this if you were going to be in a city and maybe for a long work assignment. You could just rent a bike and still have your bike and not have to worry about moving it across country. If you were staying in a place like that, like a place that's far from home for an extended period of time. So very cool.
Fascinating.
Absolutely.
So we were talking previously about John Foley becoming a billionaire. So the opposite of that would be Flywheel.
I don't think they have a card for this either.
Yeah, they don't. Flywheel filed for bankruptcy.
Yeah, I mean, I know we've given Flywheel a lot of crap, and deservedly. But this was sad. This was sad to see. You know, it's the end of an era.
Yeah.
And some of our instructors at Peloton came from Flywheel.
Sure.
So, you know, it's a sad moment to see it officially end.
So is that what this means? Are they?
They're closing.
They're closing. So
like,
because sometimes you can file for bankruptcy and it's a reorganization type of thing. So this isn't one of those. The
article I read said that like they were closing shop. So that's why I didn't read the entire article. So I may have missed something, just to be very clear, but the very first paragraph was like they're closing shops. So
gotcha.
That was
so. And if you want to fact check us, then that link will be in your show notes, which you can sign up for the newsletter at theclipout.com.
Absolutely.
Rumor has it that there's going to be a fall line dropping soon. Yeah.
So I got a little more information about this, and obviously by the time that this airs, it will already be out. But here's the deal: the fall line on September 3rd sold so fast that a lot of it didn't make it to showrooms, or it made it to showrooms, but in very limited quantities. So they're going to do a special drop that is going to go to some showrooms.
Okay.
It sounds like it will not be online. It will, but if you have a showroom locally and you missed out, now is your chance. So check with your local showroom. If you missed out, there might be some good fall sales to get. It won't be on sale. Let me rephrase that.
Sales of fall items.
There you go. Thank you.
Peloton Birthdays.
Got a couple of Peloton birthdays this week.
I love it. We've got Anna Greenberg on September 18th, which is the day that this airs. And then we have Robin Arzon, who, as we mentioned earlier in the program, is having her first child. So what a special birthday she is having.
Yeah, and she is on September 20th.
Yes, Sunday.
So any other Peloton birthdays this week?
You know what? There is one.
Who would that be?
Oh, there's this guy that lives down the... Oh, no. I'm just kidding. Yours is on September 24th.
Yeah, so before our next episode comes out, just the day before. But yeah, so I
And it's a big one, guys.
Yes.
He's turning 50.
Yeah.
So send him lots of love on September 24th. I'll remind you guys.
There's no
Don't
need
worry.
to do that.
No, you should send him lots of love.
Yeah. But yeah, 50. Whoa.
I'm okay with it because I'm not yet.
Y'all are getting there.
I know.
Checking in with the Peloton community.
So joining us today via the magic of Zoom Tube, if you're in the Clip Out page or group, you've probably seen his posts a time or two. Eric Goodman, is that how it's pronounced? Goodman?
It's Goodman. No, that's right. You got it right.
Well, we need to start a GoFundMe so you can buy some umlauts.
Yes.
You have no one to blame but yourself.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a long time coming.
Yeah.
I always enjoy your posts very much, Eric.
Thanks. I love on an audience. So my
I know the
family,
feeling.
My family and colleagues get sick of my attempt at humor. So it's nice to be able to expand out to the greater world. Yeah.
It's your time to shine.
Well, you know how I always start this because I know you listen. So how did you originally find Peloton?
Well, I didn't expect that question at all. I got to talk to my publicist. You're coming out hard.
I was going to say, technically, I think you always started with one of us mispronouncing a name.
That's true. That's true.
So, I've had the bike for 2 years, and I think I'd heard about Peloton. Saw some commercials, probably saw something on Facebook, but honestly, spinning wasn't something I was all that interested in. I always kind of been more of a runner, but two of my favorite things, health and technology. So I definitely was interested, but cost was sort of prohibitive. And then I remember it was 2 years ago, and I was looking and I saw the advertisement. I think they were offering the 0% and 3 years, and I was like, oh, I think they got me.
You got me.
Yeah. And I was a little bit nervous about it. I was like, I really hadn't done spinning classes before, but I said, you know what, I'll give it a try, and I'm all in. So
you're hooked.
Okay. So how long ago? You said you two years for the bike.
Yeah.
And then it was a little over a year that you got the tread?
Right. So I remember ordering the bike in August, and then I think that was around then I started reading, and I think I'm trying to remember if they had announced the tread at that point or you had pre-ordered.
Probably.
And so then I was like, ooh, so I started looking at that, and I said, boy, I really, running's my first thing, love, and we already had a tread. So I started looking at that, and I said, well, it looked like it was going to be a while before they were shipped out anyway. So I said, oh, I'll go ahead and make the order. And so I got the original tread was delivered, I want to say it was December, but it was dead on arrival. So then I had to wait and get them to come back and pick that up and give me a new one. And so I think ended up being February 20, it would be 19, and all the dates 2019, I guess. So I've had it, about a year and a half.
So did they throw in anything when the first one didn't work? Did it give you a boutique credit or a hat or something?
I think they actually took, gave me a few free months, and then I think I want to say they at least discounted the delivery fee.
That's okay.
Yeah,
they did something.
Yeah, they did. They did, and it wasn't too difficult to get. It was just timing wise, and I live in rural New Hampshire, so XPO, and they don't come out there that often. So it's like, they only come to my area maybe once a month or so. So it's like, the wait time for that too. But
it's like the Wells Fargo wagon in the Music Man.
Yeah. But, as much as you're as much as you're stressed about it at the time and, it's first world problems, it's like once you got it, all that's way behind you. Months later, you're like all the frustration, is well in the past.
It just magically dissipates because the product is so amazing.
Anyone who's listened to our episodes leading up to you getting your tread will remember that. You were very on edge about where's my tread.
Where's my tread?
Right. Yeah.
So I'm curious. You bought the bike, but you prefer running, and then you get the tread, and presumably you love it. And so my question is, if you had stumbled upon Peloton when there was a bike and a tread, do you think you would have ever even bought a bike?
Yeah, I've actually thought about that, and maybe not. I don't know. I think I definitely tread's my first love, and it's interesting. I'm fairly equal in runs and rides now, but I did get the bike first. But I don't know. It would be interesting to see if I had the tread first, would I have gotten the bike? My guess is probably because I love the whole community, and it's that fear of missing out. So it just like right now, like I think, I probably wouldn't want to get a rower, but I'm sure if one showed up, I would, I'd be hearing everybody talk about the rower, and I'd be like, all right. So, yeah.
We were just having that conversation this morning. Tom was like, we were talking about if there is this mythical premium bike, Tom was like, are you going to want it? And I was like,
no, that's not how that conversation went at all. I'm sorry. I'm completely throwing the bullshit flag. That is not how that conversation went. She was like, I don't know if I'll get it or not. And I was like, of course you're going to get it.
Yeah.
Like, who are you? And why are you pretending for one moment that you're not getting the new bike whenever that day comes?
Well, you never know.
No, I totally know. I 100% know. Whatever the opposite of never is, I always know that you would want the new bike.
So like back to Eric.
You might pass on a rower.
You're basically talking about me anyway. So, this is me.
Well, speaking of, I remember when you posted that you won the tread. You had somebody send you a fake contact, I won the tread. You told your wife you won. Is this real? Was this played for? Oh, wait.
And if it is real, do we need to edit this out?
No. So I take a lot of artistic license with my Facebook posts. So some of the things I put on there aren't true necessarily. So it was just one of my funny posts. So when I decided to, get the treadmill, I put a post and saying, guys, if you could do me a favor, and my wife really doesn't come on here, but just in case she does, could you say that, or, back me up that I won the treadmill? Because I said, I'm not telling her how much she does. And if she does find out, I'm going to be sleeping on that thing. And it was a complete joke, and in real life, I did tell her and all this, but this was just, I was looking for my laughs. So, and it was fun post, and I got, a lot of people, commented, and it was fun. And then all of a sudden, it was maybe a few days later, I'm getting notifications that, I was tagged in another post, and I finally go over there and look, and there's 1,000 comments on this post. And it was one of my Peloton friends, Christy, had actually made a post that said, congratulations to Eric Goodman for winning the treadmill. And of course, all these people were commenting and thinking it was a real thing. And they're like, what? I didn't even know there was a contest. This isn't fair. And then, something like that. And then even within it, I would say, we said, no, this isn't true. People still kept commenting and thinking it was true.
Because no one reads the comments. When you get that many comments, no one reads them.
Right.
That's what I'm just you give up.
Yeah. So so that was funny. I just thought it was funny because my original post, had a lot of comments and stuff, but then this one was through the roof. So, So, and people still mention that sometimes, and I'm sure there's still some people out there that think I really did win it, or I really didn't tell me, or I did tell my wife that I won it in a contest.
Well, I remember it was a very entertaining post because you also posted yourself sleeping on the tread. It was very funny.
Yeah,
it was very funny.
Yeah, with my teddy bear. Yeah.
Yes.
So, and it was interesting with my post. So one thing I never mentioned before was my post. I did get a DM from somebody and said, you really need to tell your wife, you can't be, keeping secrets from her. And I was like, well, thank you for the marital advice. This is all just a joke and kidding. Yeah.
And then you find out it's some guy she works with, and you're just like,
oh yeah.
What does that mean?
Yeah. So.
So I also I know that you are the creator of the Run and Ride group. What inspired you to create that group?
Well, I guess at the time it was already, as we've talked, you guys have discussed tons of times before how what the OPP is like, and so I'd already started migrating into these smaller groups, and that's when the tread came out, and I said, what, there really isn't a group dedicated to having both and figuring out how to balance that. And I even was thinking, how am I going to balance both of these? So I saw a little niche there and thought it would be fun to start a group. So I did. And, it was, it started sort of slowly. And I think, for a while there, we had got up to like 200 members. And honestly, at one point I was thinking, is it really worth it to keep this going? And then all of a sudden it just,
took off.
Took off. And now I think we're approaching like 2,500 members.
Nice.
It's not super active. We may get a post or two a day.
They don't have time, man. They're running and riding.
Right.
Exactly.
Yes.
What do you want from them?
Yeah. But it's funny because it's, what it was really for was, to people that had both the bike and the tread and to balance it out. And then I, would get people that were digital and I said, oh yeah, that's fine. Obviously, come on in. And then, and sometimes I'll get requests and, in part of the questions to ask, do you have the bike or the tread or both? I get a ton of, no, just the bike. And I'm like, well, why are you interested? But I think people are just looking for, another small group that's positive,
right.
And that's it. We're all about, keeping things positive. So it's just
maybe they're contemplating getting a tread.
Yeah.
Maybe they're contemplating and they're just trying to see like, will I use them both? Like what systems do people have?
Yeah, I think there's a mixture. I've never really restricted. I said as long as they're connected, to Peloton, then come on in and it's it's fun. I sometimes I'm a Peloton group slut. I belong to so many, and sometimes I'll post in these other groups, and then I'll say, "Shoot, you didn't even post in your own group," and I have to remember. But yeah, I belong to obviously the main group, the Swexies group. I'm in a type 1 diabetes group. I'm in Black Girl Magic group. I don't know. I know that Crystal, they didn't let you in, but I'm in that one.
You are not in the Black Girl Magic group.
Oh, yes. Yep.
You
Absolutely.
are not.
I'm in the pregnant.
That's where he won his tread from.
Yeah. I'm in the pregnant lawyer group. There's so many groups, Yeah.
You didn't mention the clip out. I'm going to.
Well, that goes without saying.
No, you're not now.
I've been banned, and
going to my computer right now.
I think I had the record for most times banned from that group, but I keep showing back up.
Well, if you were banned and unbanned, then that would be a record because
that's never happened.
Yeah.
We only ban the troublemakers.
Yeah. No, we let one back in because I banned them by accident.
That's true. That's true.
Whoops. Sorry.
Don't walk in Facebook at the same time. So what do you think it is about Peloton that makes you love it so much? Because I feel like you're one of the people that is like me. You love it. You love everything about it.
You want to marry Peloton.
You do.
Yes.
And then tell it you want a tread.
I've actually posted that. I said, these Peloton instructors keep getting married, and I'm like, I'm losing out. I said, I'm losing out on my chance to marry an actual Peloton instructor. The fact that I'm already married is the problem.
Yeah.
Too.
She might frown upon that.
Yes, right.
Are you going to tell her you want a bride too?
Say that again. What's
I
that?
said, are you going to tell her you won a bride too?
Yeah, right. I said, honey, Peloton says this person has to live here now, or we have to move here. So what do I love about it? It's, definitely, I think the community is a huge part of it. And, it's fascinating with Peloton. And I think you guys have talked about this in the past. Like when I go to the gym and I would run on a treadmill and somebody would get on the treadmill next to me when there were others open, like several, I'd be like, what the heck are you doing next to me? I wouldn't say that, but
totally.
I'd be thinking that. And
they need to apply urinal etiquette.
Absolutely.
Yes, exactly. And you don't look down.
Right.
And then, and I'm actually not a big fan of like taking a class, like, was somebody up front, but there's something about, being, so I'm alone, but I'm with people, and I like, to see the, and see the leaderboard. And I'll be 100% honest here is I'm not the best at following what the instructors say, they say, do it. I don't always do that, but I love that they're there, and I love to hear them, and I love to hear their stories and all that. But, I'm not so much like, okay, if they say increase resistance by this, sometimes I'm doing my own thing. Even further, I probably shouldn't say this, but like I'll do things like I'll watch the Clip Out podcast on YouTube while I'm doing it. No, I do a lot of multitasking though, so I have to watch things and all that. But yeah, I love the community. Obviously the Facebook groups, and I do love the metrics as far as. Like right now I'm approaching my 850th run, and I would have no idea of how many runs I've been doing, any other way. And that does keep me motivated. And so, and the instructors are all great, and, it's a great company, and I think they stand for the right things. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I feel like we're very similar in the things we really love about Peloton. And you were saying that you multitask,
including me.
Yes.
Yes.
You are our adopted community member.
I'm still waiting for my Tom sweatshirt, my Tom used hoodie.
Keep waiting. He won't part with any of his hoodies.
No,
it's not going to happen.
Right.
No, like there's you.
I think you're just driving up the price here.
Someday what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in the closet. I'm going to show everybody how many hoodies you have. How many hoodies and how many shoes match your hoodies.
Well, I can't. I'm very fashion forward.
It's really funny.
I'm a bit of a fashion plate when it comes to hoodies and t-shirts.
You are. It's very funny. And you were mentioning that you multitask, like when you're on the bike or on the tread. But the thing is that you're a really busy person. I mean, you have a full-time job. You have a demanding job. You're a physician, right? So,
pediatric nurse practitioner.
Okay. Well, I mean, a nurse practitioner is like
thing. So I just,
Yeah, I mean, it's like this much different from a doctor.
Yeah.
The nurse practitioners, at least I usually go to nurse practitioners because you can actually get in to see them quicker, and they do the same thing. So,
and they're not dead on the inside.
Yeah,
they still care.
we actually care. No, I hope my pediatrician colleagues don't watch this. So I actually once told them, I said, you guys are so good. You're like nurse practitioners. Because they're talking about somebody's failings, and and I was like, oh my goodness, you guys aren't like doctors. And so,
you made them up their game.
Yes,
that's right. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
But how do you find time for everything? Because I know that you also use your Tonal, because you now have a Tonal, and you did other workouts besides just Peloton before. Yeah. So like
and we should point out a Tonal that you also did not win.
Right. Yeah. But my wife thinks I did.
But does she?
Don't tell her. Yeah. Honey, don't watch. I'm just kidding. Don't watch this.
We'll send you a separate version of this with all the things your wife doesn't need to know edited out for a small fee.
Perfect. I don't know. I'm certainly not an organized person, and I'm a procrastinator. So I don't know, how do I balance it? That one is, I'm very lucky. I don't need a lot of sleep, so that's something I do well on like 4 or 5 hours a night. So I can get up pretty early in the morning, get
great.
A workout in before. I don't know.
God, I wish I could do that.
I ignore all other responsibilities. I'm a slob. I don't clean. I don't cook. I only have one kid, and he's in college now. That'd probably be my number one recommendation is only have one kid. If you want to have, have a good, be able to do your fitness stuff. I'm amazed.
Oddly enough, we have 3 kids and we have the same recommendation.
Yeah.
We just don't tell them which one.
No,
no, I'm sure. No, I'm amazed at some, these, especially, like having a full-time job. And yes, it's a very busy job and there's stuff. And I hear on the weekend I came into work to do some extra work today. But having kids and being able to balance this is so much. And, kids, as you guys know, it's 24/7. So, you can't plan. I can still say, okay, I work till 6 and I get home and I can, hop on and do another, ride or run at home. But when you have kids, there's homework, there's dinner, there's all that. So definitely I'd recommend that for everybody. Only have one kid. Although this is probably a bad recommendation because it hurts my job. Because I need,
I was like,
right, yeah. So that's it. I don't know. And I love. I don't have problems procrastinating with things I want to do. It's like, it's the other things that I put off. Like I said, I'm not our house can get pretty messy. And we're not big cooks. We're sort of like, don't spend a lot of time preparing food. We just kind of do our own thing quickly, and so
we do this. We do those same things too.
Yeah.
We really do. And we're lucky. Honestly, the kids that we have in the house are great kids.
Yeah.
And they're older, so they're pretty self-sufficient unless it's like something with homework that they actually need help with. So they're good. But you're right. Having kids, especially when they're small, is hard. It is really hard work.
Yeah.
I am glad we were past that.
Yeah. I mean, Jack is 21 now. So but just 5-10 years ago, even when it was not little, but when they were younger, you have to drive them and to different things and
they're
all
so
that.
needy.
So they are kids. I just say I always tell the receptionists whenever we hire a new receptionist, I tell them the first thing you have to know is I don't like kids. So and they're like, well, why are you working in pediatrics? I'm like, because there was no positions in the vet office. So
so we did we do Zoom calls every once in a while. We talk about on the show where people can just hang out and chat and whatnot. And when we were doing one, we got a glimpse of your setup that you have where all your workout stuff is. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, I'm definitely blessed. My plan was originally to do this call from there. But I did have to go into work, and then also my internet at home can be a little shaky. Yeah, that's that room, which is now a Pelotonolium, started off, it wasn't its original intention. It was when we bought the house, as I said, we're pretty rural, and we have 3 acres of kind of cleared out land behind it that overlooks some beautiful trees. And so originally it had, when we bought the house, it didn't have this room, and we built it. That was one of the first things we did is we got it built on, as a, 4 seasons, all glass room. And then it had a couch and a TV and that's what it was. It was kind of our den. But, the one thing is because it's a sunroom, it gets a lot of light, obviously, during the day. So the TV didn't get much use during the day because of glare and all that. Right. And then it does get super cold during the winter at night, and super hot during the day, because during the summer. So it wasn't used as much for that. But anyway, when I got the bike, I said, well, I'll put the bike in there. And it was great because you could look out and see, this beautiful scenery around. And then when I got the treadmill, I was like, maybe that should go in there too. So out went the couch and the treadmill went in, and it's like the best decision I ever made. And now there's a tonal in there too. So
how do you mount it if it's all glass?
Well, it's I guess 3/4 glass. So it's up against, there's a wall, there's sort
where
of one
wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I just figured that would be like the exterior wall of a house. Wouldn't that be hard to?
Yeah, well, it was originally. But it's, it's whiteboarded over, and there's studs in there, and
Okay.
Yeah.
All we know is you were able to do it. Tonal said yes.
Right.
Yes.
I'm also very similar to you guys in that I don't know anything about construction or handy stuff, and it's stud. I totally lied on the Tonal thing where it said where are the studs, and how many inches apart are the studs, and I just made up some number.
75.
Yeah, I figured they would show up knowing what to do. So yeah. I hope Tonal's not listening. Allie, are you listening? Allie and Kate. They got me. They got my money. Yeah.
Well, it is a beautiful setup, and all of your workout videos that you do, and your boomerangs, they're all very picturesque.
Yeah. Oh, the time lapses that's what I love. I'm addicted to those, because then get the sun, sunrise sometimes, and
Yeah, it's very motivating and inspirational. So I get the feeling it makes you feel that way in real time, which is awesome.
Yeah. I said I'm very, very, very lucky. And, one actually just something on the side to this, it was interesting because we do have it. So we still do have a treadmill that my wife uses all the time, a regular old treadmill.
Because you won't let her use the Peloton one? Is that
no,
what that's about?
Honestly, she's just... So this is where she and I we're so alike in a lot of reasons and complete different in other ways. And she is she likes when she works out, she just wants a closed in space. So we have this one down in the basement, and it's basically used to be the furnace room. It's a small room and no windows. And, she uses that one, and I used to use that one. And I remember though, I would still want to go to the gym and run on the treadmill at the gym. And I mentioned I didn't like people working out next to me on the gym, on the treadmill, but I still like being there. And I finally figured it out when I went to a gym at the Cape, and it had a window, and the treadmill was old and, really bad, not a very good treadmill at all, but it was up against a window, and I could look out, and it was the best run ever. And that's when it finally hit me. I was like, I want this extra space, cause and so that's what gave me the idea of putting the, the exercise equipment in the sunroom. But yeah, it's perfect because she doesn't fight me for the Peloton, and she, she's exercises just as much as I do. She gets up every morning. She gets up at 4 a.m. She's on the treadmill. But hers, she doesn't take constructive criticism. So even though I don't listen to the instructors, I'm okay with that. Sometimes she would be like, don't you be telling me what to do. So, she's she just hasn't drank the Peloton Kool-Aid, which, I'm okay with because more, we don't have to fight over things,
Totally. I get the idea of not liking someone using the treadmill right next to you when you're at the gym.
Yeah.
But I'd also say, putting your wife in the basement seems a bit much.
She puts herself down there. Believe me. She's a strong woman. I couldn't put her anywhere.
I think
which is why I had to lie to her about winning the treadmill. Because
strong woman is code for he made her move the treadmill down there by herself. That's what that means.
Yeah.
So what was you said that running was your first love? So I'm assuming you were a big runner before you got a Peloton?
I wouldn't say big runner. I would say, if I was going to do some type of cardio, that's mainly what I would do. We used to have an elliptical way back too. And I would do that. But, I've always, fitness has been, I've definitely been way more consistent since getting the Peloton and a few years beforehand than I've been for years. But, I would get into things for a little bit, and then just like many people, things would sort of die off and slow down. But, every once in a while I would do a 5K here and there. But, I never would have called myself a big runner or just, always always knew that fitness and exercise was important. And so I always tried to do something. But
do you feel like your fitness level has increased since you have brought your gym home?
Yeah, absolutely. So I just hit 51, and I would say I'm probably in the best shape of my life at this point, which is just amazing to me. And
that's incredible.
I mean, just having, and I think I obviously owe a lot of it to Peloton and just the things that motivate me and just enjoying it, and exercise used to be more definitely a chore. It was definitely something I did mainly to try to stay lean. I didn't think of it so much as trying to be healthy, like increasing my VO2 max and things like this. And now it's really helped me make that shift over to, it's not just for, keeping weight down, but it's for, just having a healthier cardiovascular system, and the emotional health part is huge for me. I've always said that exercise is the most underutilized antidepressant, and food is the most overused drug, and so it's really helped me kind of live that life better. So
that's awesome. So what's your leaderboard name?
My leaderboard name is I Pooped Today. So yeah, that's pretty well known.
I need to know why you chose that.
Yeah.
Well, because he pooped today.
Yeah. Yes. So actually,
put it on Front Street.
Actually, Crystal, you probably actually don't know this, but you're one of the reasons why I changed my name, leaderboard name. So originally it was I think it was supposed to be Type 1 Thrive-A-Betic, because I'm a Type 1 diabetic.
Okay.
And it was that, I think, for like my first 50 rides or so. But I remember way back, so, when I got the Peloton, and then I discovered you guys, and you guys had been about 50 episodes in, and I zoomed through them all. And I wrote a review, and you read my review. I forget which episode it was. And I was the Type 1 Thrive-A-Betic then. And I remember the way you said it, it was like, that doesn't sound very good. Yeah, I was like, no, I'm never going to get a shout out. And, and I heard, and it was like, I was like, yes, that being a diabetic is so important to me, and being healthy was that. But I was like, I'm more than that. So anyway, so that was kind of one of the things that led me to be motivated to change it. So why did I pick I Poop Today? A lot of it is what I do. I work in pediatrics. We talk about poop all the time. I have this family that as soon as I walk in, the kids yell, "We're all pooping and peeing, okay?" Because they know I'm going to be asking those questions, all that. And, the other thing is I feel like one of the things that's important to me is like being real. Like, I think everybody poops. And sometimes like people are like, we don't talk about this. So I'm like, why do we not talk about things that we all do? So I feel like that it kind of encompasses that. And I actually already had a T-shirt that said I pooped today, because they're all over Amazon. You can get mugs and T-shirts and all that. So I don't own the copyright. But yeah, it's been very popular. I get people send me.
You get the best shout outs, like the best shout out. Like your shout out is not a shout out. Your shout out is a paragraph.
Yeah. I've had, but then on the opposite end, there's been a few that I haven't gotten. Kendall, most famously, and then she posted on Instagram that like somebody asked her about like the 3 funniest names or something like that. And she just said, well, there's one I will never say because it's like I pooped today. Cause it's like, I'm saying I pooped today. And I was like, and I'm thinking, well, that's okay. You probably did poop today. Nothing to be ashamed of. But Maddie's given me great ones. Matt once said he just said, I blanked today. He wouldn't say it. And
I was on that ride. I remember when that happened.
Yeah.
That was hilarious.
He's such a goody two shoes. He had to censor the word poop.
Yes.
He did.
Yeah. It's not even the word shit. There was poop. Everybody can say poop. But Andy, the best one I ever got was Andy Spears on the run. And what was so great about it is the song going on at the time was I Will Be Your Hero or something, the Iglesias song. And so he starts talking about, there's somebody that is on the right run, and this is his maybe 450th run, and he's so consistent on the treadmill, but he's so consistent in his pooping. And and he just went on, and it was like a 3-minute talk, and it was You Are My Hero in the background or so. And then, so that was great. That's still my all-time favorite.
That's
if anyone's
awesome.
looking for that one, you can find it because he was wearing glasses during he had forgot his contacts. So it's like a famous one. They call it the Clark Kent run. The Clark Kent / I Pooped Today run. Yeah. So yeah, it was one of the best decisions I made was changing.
Were you upset that his glasses upstaged your poop shout out?
I don't know. I think my poop shout out outstaged his glasses.
Okay. But they call it the Clark Kent run. Yeah. They don't call it the poop run.
Well, depends on who you talk to. But
I see.
Yeah. So
it's very polarizing. I wasn't expecting it to.
It's kind of like it's almost like Democrat Republican thing.
Yeah, it's very divisive times.
Yes.
For poop versus glasses.
Yeah. I bet Andy himself would call it the I Pooped Today run, though. So
we'll reach out for a quote.
Yeah. Yes. We're gonna have to reach out to Andy and ask him.
Yeah.
Well, so you mentioned that you're being a diabetic is important to you, and I know that you have the same device that Robin Arzon wears.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have anything that you want to share about that?
Well, sure. I mean, I think and it's funny because I think you've had already maybe 3 or 4 guests with type 1 diabetes. So obviously fitness is such an important part of managing, diabetes. So it's there's definitely challenges. Your blood sugar. What's interesting is when you exercise a lot to keep your blood sugars lower. But sometimes if it's too low, you can't exercise because you'll get too low. So there's sometimes I'm ready to work out in the morning and my blood sugar is normal or 7, and you have to eat or drink something to be able to participate. But I think it's just very important, and I have a lot of patients. Type 1 diabetes is the kind that typically you develop as a child. So I have a lot of kids that are patients that have diabetes, and it's very important for me to kind of model that behavior, that you can keep staying active, you can do everything somebody that doesn't have diabetes has. You just have to, take some extra, it just takes extra work, but super important. It is one thing, I did, when I think I was around 30, I actually got denied for life insurance. And I know you guys were talking about, my healthier now, being that I'm probably the best shape now or fitness level now than I was. Well, at 30, I was denied just on the basis of having diabetes. And that was kind of a wake-up call too. It was saying, and I know it's just based on numbers and it's nothing personal, but that was one thing. It sort of motivated me back then. I was like, okay, well, I'm going to show them, and they're betting against me, but I'm going to show them that they were wrong in at least my case. So
I didn't even know that they could deny life insurance for something like that.
Well, it just looks at numbers. But the joke, I always say, the ironic thing is, because of that, because I was denied for life insurance, that's why I'm still alive, because otherwise my wife would have fed me like a cyanide sandwich like years ago. So, but she's not going to make any money off it, so she just keeps me around,
What a blessing.
Yes. Yeah. But if I keep buying $4,000 treadmills, that might change.
Maybe she'd let you live if you wouldn't relegate her tread to the basement.
Yeah. I thought she's. I wish I could have her here. I should have done this at home.
Yeah, she'd probably be like, "Oh no! I relegated his tread to the sunroom."
Yes, right.
Yeah, because if it's hotter in there, I bet sometimes that's not pleasant.
No, she said, I don't get it. She just doesn't like. She just likes that enclosed space. It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, everybody has different things.
Yeah, everybody has their differences. So yeah. So again, it's great for me.
Do you have any advice for people just getting a Peloton, whether it's a bike or a tread?
Oh my God! Another question I wasn't prepared for. Oh my God!
Read the notes next time.
I know. I've never heard. You've never asked anybody else that question.
I know, right? It's
We've been saving it for this moment.
Yes. I think it's the same. The same as people have mentioned is finding your tribe, finding your groups, the smaller groups. Don't sweat out that leaderboard, and people are just so, should I be doing this? What should my output be? And it still amazes me because I forget this. I hear people so afraid of taking a live ride. And I have never heard an instructor really call out somebody during a live ride that's saying, you need to go harder, or I don't think they're paying attention. And I certainly don't care what anybody else is doing. And so, just get in there and do your thing and sweat and have fun. And, there's no should in it, it's just,
I agree.
Yeah. But,
the irony is that if you happen to be at the bottom of the leaderboard, you're actually making people feel good.
Yeah,
that's true.
They're ahead of you.
That's true,
right? So
I'm definitely there on the bike. I'm
me too.
Even after having 2 years, I'm still well down. I have this little belief that maybe my bike is under calibrated, but I don't want to prove that wrong. So I'm just going to keep believing that. I just feel because I see other people and they're like, wow, I'm like, I could never do that resistance. So,
well, have you taken rides in the studio?
I have. I only did the tread during the HRI. So,
okay.
But I used one, but actually at HRI in the hotel, I did.
Yeah.
And I did feel like it was easier. But I didn't really pay, I think I went a little lighter than I usually did anyway. So, but I'm just going to, like I said, I don't want to disprove this. I'm just going to, because then that might make me a little sad. So I'm just going to I'm very good at denial.
Okay. Okay.
It's like asking your wife about her exes. You're just like, maybe I don't need to know.
Well, she doesn't have any exes. I'm her first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Exactly.
Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to join us. Before we go, normally I ask where people can be found on social media if they would like to be found. I feel fairly confident you would like to be found. So where can people do that?
Let's see. So, definitely Facebook, my name, Eric Goodman. One thing I'd say is if somebody, I'll accept anybody. Yeah, you said I'm all in. I'm an open book. But the one thing I would say is somebody sends me a request, just maybe send a message or something saying, "Oh, I know you from Peloton" or so. Because sometimes I get, you get ones that you're like, who the heck is that?
Why is this person?
Yeah. Instagram, I Poop Today wasn't available. So I am fitness and funny. So my two favorite things. Would love more followers, and I'll follow you back, and you'll see lots of Peloton and now Tonal stuff and occasional funny stuff. So,
you should have went with I pooped yesterday.
Yeah, that probably was available. I should look at that.
Or if you're hopeful, I poop tomorrow.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right. Well, my Instagram name may be changing then. As Tom says, watch this space.
Oh, you crack me up. I love that you actually listen. You are probably the one person that quotes the most stuff back to us that we say. It's so funny.
That's just how my brain works too. I remember,
So now what will you do when this episode airs?
Yeah, are you
and you'll be quoting yourself back
yes,
to yourself.
Be very meta.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
You too.
Thank
you
too. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
You too.
So I guess that brings this one to a close. Normally, I would ask who you have in store next week.
I was like, you better not ask. You better know.
But I already know. It's Andrea Barber, a.k.a. Kimmy Gibbler from Full House. Very excited. So that's what people have to look forward to next week. Until then, where can people find you?
People can find me at facebook.com/Crystal D. O'Keefe. They can find me on Instagram, Twitter, the bike and the tread, and now the tonal at Clip Out Crystal.
And you can find me on Twitter at Roger Kubert or on Facebook at facebook.com/Tom O'Keefe. You can find the show online, facebook.com/The Clip Out. While you're there, like the page, join the group. Wherever you're getting your podcasts from, be sure and subscribe so you never miss an episode. And swing on by our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Clip Out. So that's it for this one. Thanks for tuning in. And until next time, keep pedaling
and running.